knew starting Soliloquy, like it was never going to be forever. We did great profit. We were also not paying ourselves. The $400 in sales in a night, we're just like, you know, man, like we tried so hard, but also I can breathe now because we're done.
Right.
I'm so glad I did Soliloquy.
Welcome to Topeka Insider. We've got our good friend Aaron Zentner here with us. Glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, it's good, bro. So for people that don't know, you were one of the owners, founders, operators of Soliloquy.
Yeah.
Pop-up bar, is that what we were calling it? Pop-up bar at Circle?
Yeah, pop-up cocktail bar.
Yeah. Pop-up what bar?
Cocktail bar.
Cocktail bar, yeah. So Soliloquy was definitely one of the coolest spots in town.
Thank you.
On a Friday night, Saturday night, whatever. And
R.I.P.
And obviously Circle's a dope venue, so that definitely helps. But like even just the cocktails themselves, the drinks you guys were making, we're like, I don't want to drink it because it's a work of art and I would mess it up.
Yeah.
You know? Like there were like images on top. They arranged it. You know, it was really, really good. So hey, for people that maybe had their head in the sand and had no idea Soliloquy existed, could you just give us a quick run through, like, how did that happen? Where did the idea come from? What was it like starting that business here in Topeka?
Yeah, I always wanted to do something on my own after, a little bit of background on me. I started in fine dining here in Topeka at the White Linen and met two of my now business partners, Blake and Dan, at the White Linen. Time had passed and I was ready to do my own thing and I was looking for an avenue to do that. And I started helping David Vincent out at Circle Coffee to get that open. And shortly, I always joked around with David, like, we're just going to serve cocktails here one night and like on a Sunday or something and it, take some sales and we'll see how it goes. But it ended up being a joke until like a full-fledged thing. And
wasn't he at one point like, do it?
Yeah. He was like so open to it, which is crazy to me looking back. Cause like, it was almost 2 years ago now that he opened the shop, which is crazy to me.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's wild.
He was like, he had just opened his cafe, doing crazy hours. I was doing crazy hours with him too there, but, and he was just like, yeah, like, let's just do it. Why don't you do a Saturday? and he had just opened a cafe, like, which is crazy. I would probably, if it was the other way around, I don't know if I would have let someone come in and just start operating a business in my space.
We don't even have our feet under us.
We don't even have, he didn't, still working out all these issues and stuff, but he still was open to letting us do that.
Tell us the issues with Circle.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
It's just like any business, you're going to have issues,
Right, yeah.
It's just a number of things. I probably can't even remember now.
So someone whose head might have been in the sand was me.
Sure.
Was familiar with Soliloquy, but not huge into the bar cocktail scene. What did that partnership look like? So you just, you used Circle's venue? Was David part of Soliloquy? Or
no, so the way we worked it out was that Soliloquy was like a separate entity entirely from Circle. And for legal reasons, like it had to be because we had our own catering license essentially. So that's what allowed us to serve alcohol there.
Gotcha.
So we would bring all the alcohol, all the tools, everything into Circle as a caterer.
Yeah.
And so that was like kind of like
how it worked.
It was kind of a loophole, not exactly a loophole, but it was like
just a smart way to set it up.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it because with the catering license, we could essentially go anywhere to serve alcohol in the state of Kansas. But we just did it at the same place every weekend.
That makes sense.
Catering the same venue 3 nights a week.
That's probably how Circle preferred to do it too. They didn't have to get there.
Right. Yeah. Like David didn't have to be involved essentially in any way aside from, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. We had to use his equipment, and we paid him rent, and the landlord rent. It was like really simple to do. Yeah. And we got to keep all of our own sales, which is super advantageous because talking to some of the other people that like I know that did cocktail pop-ups like in the area, not necessarily in Topeka. I don't know anybody else that's done it in Topeka, but in Kansas City or in the US in general, like usually the venue is taking some type of cut of sales or, my friend Diana Condori, she has Condor's Cove in Kansas City. She did it a little bit differently. Essentially, where like the venue is responsible for like facilitating all the sales, which is a good way to do it too, because like it's just one thing for you to not have to worry about as an owner, but you also don't get like all of the sales.
Right.
So. There's so many different ways to do it, but I think the way that we did it with Soliloquy was the best for the business, of course, because we could serve at Circle, we could go do other events off-site for people, private events. We could do we did stuff in Kansas City, Kansas. So it was awesome.
In the Dot?
Yeah.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like a set menu every night, or was it a different menu, or what
the fun thing about Soliloquy and the most stressful thing was like we just rotated things constantly. So we like never kept stagnant cocktail lists. I mean, there was like, obviously we could do any classic cocktail for the most part, but we just wanted to be so creative and seasonal that like when it felt like something needed to go, we just took it off the menu and put something new on. So it was like, I think that was a big draw for people, was that like every time they came back any weekend, like there would be something new for them to try.
Oh, for sure.
Or like, we had at most times about 12 cocktails. And so like people could work their way through the whole menu within like a month, and then we would always have something new for them to try. So like people were just so interested in that. Any new drink, even if it was like, I don't like gin, but this is a new cocktail, so I'm going to try it.
Yeah. What was your favorite one?
Yeah, there's so many. We did a really cool, like kind of like old fashioned. It was called the Cowboy Camper. Kind of I think it was during like the fall and the winter. But it was like, it's funny because I always like dissed like smoked old fashions. Like I hated those. And Blake and Dan came up with this cocktail.
Like put the thing over it and add the smoke.
It's just like got so corny, and it's it's like any bro that would come into a bar like, can you do a smoked old fashioned? We always roll our eyes and be like, no, get out of here. But we
don't serve your kind around here.
No, but we put some twist on it to kind of make it like cool and like not feel like that. Like it was like really seasonally focused. It was like a s'mores old fashioned kind of.
That's awesome.
And I love the presentation on it too. It was so fun. And Blake and Dan came up with that one. Like that was one of the cocktails that I really didn't have. Like I didn't touch. And that was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your favorite that you personally came up with?
Oh man. I don't know. There's so many.
Which one do you feel just like the most proud about?
Yeah, there was one that like a lot of. So I think you mentioned the one with the picture on it, like the the peach.
The peach. Yeah, it's like the pixelated peach on it.
That was mine.
That's awesome.
And it was that one was called the Momotaro, which I always like to slip like things into the names of cocktails that like Momotaro, like no one would know what that is unless they look it up usually, but it's like the Japanese folktale that inspired James and the Giant Peach.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the cocktail, like the flavor of that cocktail revolved around peaches. Like that it had peach liqueur. I believe we did like a peach ferment in that, and then ricotta whey and gin and rum and lemon juice. So it was like a glorified gin sour, but it was like, I think people like really loved just like the picture on it, and like
it's unique.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
One of the things
you're paying for the Instagram post,
right? For sure. Yeah, sorta. And like one of the fun things about doing the menu, because that was like one of my favorite things about Soliloquy, was like literally formatting the menu and typing it. I have a degree in graphic design, so like I was super interested in always doing that, and I always like to put like these little like quippy phrases underneath the cocktails, like just to kind of like explain in a short phrase like what the cocktail is, or like give them an idea of what they're getting.
Right. Sorry, I want to finish your thought.
No, but
a question about that.
Yeah, and so like I can't remember what the quote was for that cocktail, but it was like people just like really latched on to a few of our drinks just because like it's like breaking the third wall in a way, like
with the menu.
With the menu, yeah. Where it's like the drink feels super serious in a way, or like the way we present ourselves or the cocktails feel super serious, but then you can like break the third wall with some things, and people are just like, oh, like I can have fun here.
Right. You know? Yeah. Like you guys weren't taking yourselves too seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there was one, I don't remember what but the taglines was like something about like, it was like this tagline is an inside joke or something like that.
We had a lot of those.
Dang it. I remember always thinking like, I need to ask him about this, and I always forgot to ask you about it.
Yeah. So. We had so many of those. Like working with two of your best friends that like, and you're working like, 40 plus hours a week together, like we developed so many inside jokes. And like poor Carla, which was like Carla Hickle would always help us out on weekends. She was like kind of one of our cocktail servers. Like she would just be like, what are you guys talking about?
She's like, why are you guys like this?
Poor Carla.
There's like jokes that are jokes of other inside jokes. It's like no one could possibly know what we're talking about. And so
so your two partners, Blake and Dan, you were friends before.
We like I said, we worked together at the White Linen. That's kind of where we came together. Me and Blake had been friends since we were like in middle school. Right. We went to high school and middle school together.
Oh yeah, fellow T-Birds.
Yep, T-Birds. Yeah, go Birds. We met Dan. Like Blake was like working at Red Lobster, and I started working at the White Linen. My buddy got a job.
Which of those two is a better establishment?
Wait, did you say White Linen and Red Lobster?
Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of toss up in my mind.
It's funny because I worked at that same Red Lobster too, and like relevant now is like I think they recently announced that they were closing, but then someone else swooped in and bought out Red Lobster now.
I heard that too.
The one here in Topeka was going to be closing, but like that was my first restaurant job.
Wow.
Do you not know that?
I didn't know that.
I thought that's why you were joking, because you knew one was closing.
No,
no. So it's
I was joking because obviously, like White Linen is like a really high class dining establishment, and Red Lobster is a chain.
Which one's better, the one that's closing or the one that's a fine dining establishment?
No.
Yeah, that's funny. So, okay, starting a business with your best friends. Do you recommend doing that?
Oh man,
or the
that's a great question. It depends.
They won't see this. You can say whatever you want.
We'll hide it.
I would, to most people, I don't know, like I would recommend not to, but like I had a great time, and like we always said, like business has to come before the friendship, you know? So as long as you do that, you'll be good. And, I think sometimes you realize like once you go into business with some people, they're like, oh, okay, like we're not friends in the way that I thought we were, but with Blake and Dan, like it was still so easy,
You probably have to separate the relationships a little bit. Like, hey, this is my friend Blake and Dan. This is my business partner Blake and Dan.
I mean, the biggest thing, like with any team, is like you have to be aware of people's weaknesses and strengths, and I think we played to that really well.
That's cool. You seem to have a really cool dynamic of. Obviously you had to manage the business, but then foster it was all around the creativity of the product you were producing every single week. And it seemed like from being in there and, talking to you on a previous podcast, and it seemed like you guys had a really cool, not just friendship dynamic, but such a kind of a dynamic that produced or fostered an environment of creativity and, new ideas, and it was fun too. I mean, like the menu, it was like reading the menu. You felt like these are cool dudes I would want to hang out with. Just reading the menu made you feel like that. Like, oh, they're like joking around on the menu.
Right.
And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
The part you're selling an experience. It's not just the cocktail, but if you can make it fun and have a reason people want to come.
Again, like that's probably, I think what like maybe like brought people back to was like, they felt like they were in the group in a way.
Right. Sure. Yeah. It's so true.
Okay, we keep talking.
Real quick, just to add on that. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But just to add on that too, every time we went in, one of you three would come hang out at our table for like 30 minutes and just like joke around, which I love. Like I'm not like I know people have different vibes. Like some people go to a restaurant, they want to be left alone.
Right.
I love just like joking around with people and talking and telling stories. And there were like each time we went, one of you guys would stop and just kind of hang. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, so it definitely felt like I'm in the cool kids club right now. This is awesome.
Well, is that a reflection on their hospitality? Hospitality. There it is.
Landed it.
English is tough. Is that a reflection on them, or is that just because you're really cool?
Well, it's probably mostly because I'm really cool.
Yeah, there's definitely something.
No, it's definitely. I think it was your guys' dynamic.
I mean, it's like in any bar or restaurant, like you have to balance that. You know, like there are some nights where you can't do that. Or most nights where you can't do that. Luckily, like we had some slower nights where it's like, we can hang out with people.
And I'm probably overstating. It was probably more like 3 minutes.
Sure. But it felt like a lifetime.
Like, this is great.
You made his night.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I mean, that's my favorite thing about this is like just connecting with people, you know, like that. If you're not in the hospitality industry for that, I think you're in it for the wrong reasons, you know?
Okay, we keep talking in past tense. You know, it was fun. It was a good time. You know, what were your challenges? What happened? Walk us through the next phase.
I mean, we had been doing it for like a year and a half, and like it just got hard, you know. I mean, it was always hard from the start, but like moving a cocktail bar 2 to 3 times a week, like it was a lot, you know. And we knew starting Soliloquy, like it was never going to be forever. You know, I think our goal was to open a bar,
like a brick and mortar,
like a brick and mortar. That was our goal. And like financially, we were successful, I would say. Like we killed it, you know, like we did great profit. We were also not paying ourselves, which is crazy. So like, I mean, full transparency, like we would, like the tips that were collected, we would disperse between anybody that helped us out and then ourselves. So it was like, you know, on average, I would say, my tip out, or all three of us, our average tip out would be like $1,000 for each of us at the end of the month if we had like an okay month.
So you're just getting paid only out of tips.
Yeah. We weren't paying ourselves hourly, and we would always make sure like the people that were helping us out were compensated very well. You know, we were paying them like $20 an hour essentially. Wow. So,
is that, so those numbers are from, you know, a one night a week, or what was the, how often were you guys doing it?
No. So 2 nights a week. Friday and Saturday. So essentially, you know, serving average like 8 or 9 times a month. So yeah, it was like that was a challenge in itself because we all had to find jobs outside of this.
Right.
Like some way to like have income so that we could like live, you know, like buy rent, groceries, which was difficult. And we could have paid ourselves, you know, we could have like cut an hourly wage for ourselves or whatever it was, or like some type of salary, but that would have took away from our goal of like opening a brick and mortar, because the way we're doing is like essentially we were just collecting tips for ourselves and paying ourselves as little as possible so that we could put as much money in the bank as possible as we could to save up to open a bar. And so like, I mean, things got difficult with that, and it was tiring, you know, like there were some weekends that we were like, I mean, this is with any business, you know, there's some weekends where you're just like dead slow.
Right.
And then some weekends where you're crushing it, and then we're just like on top of the world, you know, like we're going to open this bar. And then like the next weekend, it's like we do like $400 in sales in a night. And we're just like, you know, I don't know if you guys allow cussing on this podcast or not. You can bleep that out. But
Gabe's got us.
You open the door.
Good. But so it was like, you know, that was really difficult, just not making a lot of money. But we suffered through it just because like I believe that like we were doing what we loved, and you know, fast forward a little bit, and like I got a really big offer personally that kind of got my gears turning, like, you know, okay, if I don't take this, like, what does my life look like? You know, and I was really like weighing the pros and cons. Like, it took me forever to decide on this decision. Like, it was a really hard decision to make, but just weighing the pros and cons of taking this opportunity and, you know, leaving Soliloquy behind, or sticking with Soliloquy and, you know, hopefully having something at the end of it. And I was like, well, you know, ultimately what I decided was like, I can always come back to Topeka and I can still do a cocktail bar, you know, but like this opportunity is really too big for me to just step away from. And so, to be clear, that opportunity was to work at a bar that I've always admired, which is the Mercury Room. It's in the Crossroads in Kansas City.
Wow.
Yeah, so like a super prestigious bar. My buddy Levi Roy had been running it like almost since it opened, really.
Wow.
He'd been the head bartender there. And I always thought the stuff that he was doing was really incredible. It was like that bar kind of brought me back to like the style of service that I started with at the White Linen, which was like, I was running a speakeasy there in the White Linen, which is like 15 seats, you know, it's really small, really intimate. And like, that was the style of service that I loved. And the Mercury Room is really similar in that it's 20 seats inside. Wow. So it's like, it's very small. You know, like it's a really big focus on the style of service and like very intentional with like every single detail. And so that was just like something I wanted to tackle personally, because I felt like I had to learn more. Like, you know, I had never done anything outside of this market like Topeka that like was worth mentioning. So it just seemed like a really good opportunity for me to learn more in a bigger market and hopefully like bring what I learned back here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. So that's where you're at now.
That's where I'm at now. Yeah. Cool. I've been doing it for almost 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Going on 3 months.
And was it 3 months ago? Is that when Soliloquy closed?
I think we announced our closing. It was like, I want to say it was May. Yeah, I'm not sure. April or May. I can't remember.
What kind of feedback did you get when you guys made that announcement?
I think everybody was shocked. Yeah, everybody was shocked. You know, which is fair because like we did not give anybody a clue about what was going on, like at all, which sucks. And it was very sudden, and it was like, hey, like this is gonna be our last weekend.
Yeah.
Like
I remember seeing the poster like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And we were out of town that weekend. I was like, you gotta be freaking.
Yeah. And so
I remember seeing people in an uproar. Facebook was having a day.
Oh man. Yeah. Which is tough. I wish, you know, going back, I wish we would have had like, or given more people time, because like it was like, we only gave like people less than a 2 weeks notice that this was going to be the last one, you know? And so like people probably had arrangements already, you know, like they didn't get a chance to like come have one last cocktail.
Right.
Which really sucks. But like, that was also like, I can't exactly remember why I guess it was like, I really like pondered on this decision for a long time, taking that opportunity to go to the Mercury Room. And so it came to a point where it was like, okay, like I have to decide in these next 2 weeks whether I'm doing it or not.
Right.
And I made the decision. And then so like, I left the door open for Dan and Blake to continue without me, but they were also really good friends in that, like, they were like, we don't want to do it without you, you know? Mm-hmm. So
what was their reaction? Like, were they bummed, or were they like, man, we're exhausted too? This is kind of nice.
I mean, it was a little bit of both. I think everybody was exhausted. Yeah, I mean, and they were also like, I mean, you know, Dan was going to school for biology. So like he was juggling that while doing Soliloquy, which is crazy, you know, because like just like his sleep schedule was so screwed up, like getting up for classes in the morning, but then also like closing a cocktail bar down till like 4 a.m. Like it's just nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everybody was like, there was like, man, like we tried so hard, but also I can breathe now. Cause like we're done.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like a bittersweet for sure.
Yeah.
Some of the uproar that I saw just on the internet, really, everyone was upset that it was closing down, but they were more upset. And I think it was just because in the beginning there was a misunderstanding. They were upset at Topeka on they thought it was Topeka wasn't supporting this, small business.
Right.
And this is why Topeka can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We don't choose to shop local.
Saw a lot of comments like that.
And, I didn't know you at the time, and it wasn't until later I found out, hey, it was, a personal decision. But I guess on that same question, did you guys feel like you were supported by Topeka?
1,000%. Yeah. Like we had so much support. I think we got more than we could have asked for.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have slow nights, but it's like, you can't blame your customer base for that. Like,
right.
You always have to take it on yourself as a business owner when like things don't work out. So yeah, we had more than enough support. Like I said, we had slow nights. We had screwy nights where it was like, I mean, the toughest thing about that, like that I always felt about Topeka was that it was so volatile, like the business, or just the amount of business. Like I specifically remember one night where like we were having the slowest night ever. And then like we just get hit with like 75 people from a wedding party that just decide to show up.
Dang. Wow.
So like, if you can imagine, like we probably sent Carla home, like she was helping us as a cocktail waitress. I think I mentioned that, but
yeah,
sent her home. Like we're having a slow night. We'll see you tomorrow. And then like we just get hit with like 75, 80 people that come in like and it's just like you, like as a business owner in Topeka, like you can't plan for that.
Right,
right. If I'm staffing people, like you can't plan for that.
Right.
Like you can't plan for just a group of 80 people to show up.
Yeah.
And so that like that was some of the challenges were like, and I've heard sentiment from other business owners here in Topeka, where it's just like, business is slow. Like we're having a terrible night and like we're cutting staff and sending people home, but then we just get walloped with like a bunch of business all at once out of nowhere.
Right.
And then we're just like, it's like one or two people like trying to take care of all these people.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you keep up with that?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, do you just like bite the bullet and, blow more money on labor costs? Cause you're just like, well, maybe we'll have a bunch of business right
like
before we close.
People the whole time, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's tough.
Right.
And that was always like my frustration was like, man, I don't know how to approach those moments because also like the biggest thing about that is like, it's like, we can't possibly take care of those people with the service that people expect from Soliloquy, like people expect like that intimate, like hospitable
30
hospitality,
minutes sitting down with
like
John and
sure,
3 hours of just becoming my best friend.
Yeah. When you've got 3 people, like you can't do that for that many. Like that just show up, like
and making like high quality drinks,
right? Or especially like people, like obviously some of those people like that was like their first time coming into Soliloquy, like they didn't even know what we were about. So like their first experience was tarnished because of that. Like they're like, well, I'm never gonna go back there because like I waited 30 minutes for a drink, and it's like, well, yeah, you bet you showed up with like 80 people. So there's both sides to the coin. And I don't think it's fair to blame Topeka on that. That was just like one of the challenges we face. And that's not just a Topeka problem. That's like a problem that anybody's going to face in any city running a bar.
Right. That's such a good perspective on it. I mean, you could ask 10 business owners that question, and that's easy to say, it's easy to say that the city didn't support you,
Sure.
because it's just the narrative that Topeka gets.
Yeah.
If you had to go back and do it again, what would you do differently?
That was a good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a good idea would have been to pay ourselves a little bit more to help make it sustainable.
So that like you as humans were sustainable. Basically.
Sure. Yeah. And maybe do some things to make it easier for us to serve. Like I said, one of the biggest issues with us was like just having to pack up a cocktail bar and move it every time. And it was like, there was no space in Circle to leave our stuff there. Like legally, we couldn't leave any alcohol there overnight.
Yeah.
So like that was just one of the biggest challenges, was like hauling this stuff back and forth. And so I think one of the things I would change is, working out something with Dave. He has HQ across the street now, which has a lot of space for stuff. Maybe working out something with him where we could store some of our items, stuff like that would have made things easier for us. Just like I said, the biggest thing was like moving a cocktail bar.
Right. Yeah.
Just so hard. Right. Like there was 3 of us and we were loading up all 3 of our cars, 2 to 3 times a week just to get moved in to serve. And that was exhausting.
Yeah.
Not just physically, mentally too. It's
Yeah.
just another thing you have to do before you go in for a long night.
And then it just feels like a gut punch. Like when you have like a $400 night in sales, it's like, damn.
And we still have to do all of this.
And we still got to get all this shit back home.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, brutal.
Okay, if Aaron Zentner doesn't get the offer from Mercury, and you guys continue on, what was the timeline for you guys to eventually open a store? And maybe you don't know exactly, but what was your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I think I set a deadline for us, and with David, I was like, hey man, listen, like January 2025 would be like, or New Year's would be the last day for Soliloquy to serve. That would be, like I want to be, I want to be like out of your hair. I think, from what I projected sales wise, like we would have a decent chunk of cash to go and get a bank loan.
Right.
And so that was like, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Was, if I didn't get that offer, I think that's maybe what we would still be going towards, but you never know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So after the 2 years, do you still think, I guess, has your opinion changed? Is, Topeka still a place that could have a night scene bar and cocktail place?
1000%. Yeah. And I still hope, that's still what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be clear on that.
Okay.
Some people are like,
talk about that.
Yeah. Some people are like, screw this guy. He left Topeka. No, I still live here. So yeah, I love Topeka still. I think there's great opportunity. And I think the opportunity increases every day, I still think, you can have nice things here. I still want to see a bar, multiple bars here. I still think you can have a bar scene. It's just going to take time to build that, like if you'd asked me like 4 or 5 years ago when I decided I wanted to do this, like I thought by now, like we would have all those things, but it just, things take time, like things happen. COVID happened. I think that was a setback for our community. I think, like we haven't seen the growth that we wanted to see necessarily, but I still think those things are coming. Yeah. I just think those things are coming. It just takes time.
Yeah.
It takes, young people like us to like put those things forward and like start a business so that we can see those improvements,
Would you say like, so I can imagine someone watching this let me just say first, I 100% agree. Like, I think it's amazing seeing like you and your 2 buddies like really risk it for something like this, which is just like, it was such a cool, like unique spot that like Topeka didn't have anything like that,
Yeah.
you know? And it was a cool vibe, you know. My wife and I would go on dates there all the time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was super fun. And, but I could imagine, you know, maybe someone's watching this like, man, how come Topeka doesn't have this or this and this? Thinking maybe they could start a business, but seeing, well, he went for it and it failed.
Sure.
Would you consider that like a failure? Like
It's not a failure.
It doesn't seem like you're worse off on this side of it.
I mean, I don't see Soliloquy as a failure at all. I see it as a success. And I told so many people that is like, I think financially we were wildly successful. We saved a bunch of money. I think, you know, just like creatively we were successful. Yeah. I think we succeeded in serving our community. So
you obviously captured a lot of people's hearts too. With just the outcry after be like, no, why is this happening?
Yeah, you have to look at all the feedback of disappointment and the uproar is like praise.
Yeah.
You know? So
totally.
You guys created something that people are very upset.
Yeah, people weren't like, finally, they're closing.
Right.
Good riddance.
I see that sometimes here. Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised they survived that long.
Or I didn't even know they existed.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it just seems like, even though, you know, hey, Soliloquy closed down and maybe, you know, people are disappointed, maybe you guys are disappointed, it seems like it was a net positive. Like even just on paper, like financially, you ended up in a better place on the other side of it. Yeah. Obviously, somehow it resulted in this new job that you have. We are getting together with your buddies at some point to talk about the new business that they're doing. Awesome. So it seems like a net positive. So I don't know, it seems like what would your encouragement be if somebody's watching this, maybe annoyed Topeka doesn't have this or that or whatever, and like, you know, the classic like Topeka has nothing to do, and it's like, you know, we're always harping like, well, do something, like start something. Like, what encouragement would you give to somebody considering starting a new business or venture or something like that in Topeka?
Yeah, you just have to go and do it. Like you can't. Yeah. I think part of my problem was like I was waiting around for the perfect moment. I think that's one of my faults as a person, is like I always wait for the perfect time to do things, and that's just like not reality. Like you have to, at some point you have to just like, you know, just go. Like just waiting around is not going to serve you in any way. So yeah, I mean that's my advice, is like, even if it's not exactly what you envision, I think one day you can work to get it there, but you have to start.
It's not a rapid fire question, but not a big cocktail guy. My alcohol intake love is very limited, but I tell people, and so I want to get your professional opinion. Okay. I tell people I like my coffee and I like my alcohol like a high school girl. Okay. So my coffee is, you know, mocha latte, hot, whole milk. I go to Circle, like I show up there and like, oh yeah, we whipped this up for 12 high school girls just a second ago.
Yeah. You're really offending some high school girls who like black coffee.
Yeah, I am probably. So same thing with my alcohol.
Yeah.
What would you make me up right now?
Man, yeah. I love just like, I mean, that's all about balance, you know, like some people prefer something sweeter, and maybe that's what you're referring to, is like you just prefer your coffee sweeter. You know, there's such a spectrum of cocktails that you could do. My favorite's a daiquiri. I think like that's just the easiest thing for people.
Strawberry daiquiri.
Yeah, or like a margarita. Like that template of just like acidity and sweetness, and then spirit is like just super approachable for people.
Yeah.
Some people like, you know, everybody has a different palate, which is like the funnest part about it, is because, you know, some people like really prefer bitter drinks or like just lower sugar, and then some people really just need that sugar to like really like enjoy a cocktail, which is fine. You know, like I started out like that, where I was like, oh, you know, I definitely like sweeter drinks, but then moving forward, I started to like just develop a palate. So like a margarita is like probably what I would make.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, I like margaritas. Vodka guy, daiquiri. You know, you go to Mexico, I can throw down some strawberry daiquiris.
Nice.
But
he's actually a closet alcoholic.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. It's funny. All right, I'm gonna hit him some rapid fire.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. How many potholes did you hit on the way over here today?
Oh man. At least a couple. Man, yeah, it's not even that far of a drive from my apartment, but like probably like 2.
Have you ever been able to get somewhere in Topeka without hitting construction?
At this moment in time, no.
What are we talking about? The city's just always improving around here. That's
sure, yeah.
Or at least busy doing stuff.
Yeah. Favorite local coffee shop?
Circle Coffee.
Given. That was a softball. That doesn't count.
I
golf
thought you were going to
course?
say something else.
Favorite golf course? Oh man.
Do you play golf?
Yes.
Let's go.
Man, it's a toss-up though. I really love Cypress.
Yeah.
But I also, there's something about Great Life North.
Yeah,
Like
the Highway 24.
The worst course.
Shortest course. Hey, best course.
But,
That's
like,
the 9-hole by the driving range.
You shoot your lowest there. That's why you like it so
it's
much.
like, well, actually, I probably play the worst there. But it's like, it's close to where I live, and like, it's 9 holes, and like, me and my girlfriend will just go out there and play, and it's just like so low fuss, like
Right.
So like I can go in a t-shirt and shorts and just like, and we can grab a couple beers if we're doing that and just play.
Yeah,
it's super fun.
Where do you work out at? Favorite gym?
Crunch Fitness. Yeah.
Favorite local pizza place?
Oh,
there is a right answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Rest in peace, AJ's.
Yeah.
I like AJ's. Man, that's one thing we need is a really good pizza place.
Yes,
and I think David Vincent's on the same page with me on that.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Right now in this moment, I would say Marco's. I really like Marco's.
Okay.
Marco's is really good.
Do you count Glory Days as local? Because they're kind of...
Their pizza's surprisingly good, though.
I love Glory Days. And I thought it was a national franchise, and it's not.
It's
It's
I used to work there
locations. Too. Did you?
Yeah. That was one of my favorite
You probably
jobs.
got sick of it then.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because I was like 19, and so I'd just be bringing home pizza.
Oh, I bet.
Like it was funny because like the guys that I worked with at the time, like when I started there, like it was like that week, like they would bring home a New York style pizza, which is a 24-inch pizza for themselves every night. And they both lived together. And like that week, the owner was like, okay, you're only allowed a baby pizza.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, okay. But yeah, I would bring home like
That's the
a
only
baby
reason I got this
pizza.
job.
Yeah. It's like,
Dude, cut my grocery bill down.
Did you hear something funny? Back to the golf course. I got a buddy who he's an ER nurse, and I knew he didn't work at this golf course full time. But I showed up one day to play, and he was behind the counter, and I'm like, Zach, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know you worked here. He goes, so I'm an ER nurse full time, but he goes, if I pick up 4 hours a week at Cypress, he goes, I get free golf. He goes, so instead of paying for a membership, he just goes and does that. I was like,
Works
genius.
4 hours.
Genius.
Yeah, seriously.
Genius. Like,
Wow.
sign me up. I'm practically
Seriously.
unemployed.
That's awesome. Dude, have you been to Up Down in Kansas City?
Yeah, funny enough, my brother, we just had his bachelor party, and we went there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's always just like good spots to take people.
Yeah,
Like,
when it's not insanely busy.
Oh,
it's
it was
awesome.
insane there when we went, and it was raining, so like everybody just went like inside. But yeah, it's a cool spot.
Man, their little like pizza thing in the
Door.
corner.
Yeah.
That little window. I
yeah.
wonder if something like that could be like if Soliloquy was still open, you could have a little pizza cart in the corner.
Oh yeah.
With like really cool.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Because I agree, we need some good local pizza.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Speaking of your brother, that's who we need to have on the podcast next.
Oh, he'd be
Tyler
good.
Zentner.
He'd be
He's
good.
the punter for, where's he at now?
So he's with the Tennessee Titans.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He plays. Like I saw him on national TV.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
me too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I lived with him for 18 years. Home Depot, Lowe's, or Menards?
I always go to Home Depot. I don't know.
Home Depot guy.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because
I
it's
just
the right
like-
answer.
I just
you don't
like
need a
that.
right
It's 100% the right answer.
It's
Yeah.
subjective.
I
at
like
best,
Menards
but
though too.
Thank you. I'm a Menards guy. I just walk in there and feel like I can take on any home project,
Yeah.
even though I definitely
And they have other stuff too. Like they just have like
pet food.
Yeah.
Groceries.
Yeah, groceries.
Whatever you need. Shunga Trail or Burnett's Mound?
Burnett's.
Let's go.
Love Burnett's.
Okay, final one.
It's slept on. It is
slept on. Go to
It
date night
is.
spot in Topeka.
Burnett's Mound.
Oh, good. Love it. There it is.
Home Depot, Menards, or Lowe's. Burnett's Mound.
You can find some rusty nails out there.
Exactly. Oh man. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been an honor.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you've done for Topeka.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
It was great.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely be following you as you eventually come back, bring all that energy that all the experience you're getting in Kansas City.
Yeah, hopefully.
Investing that in the city. Man, it's cool, man. I hope others like you, take up the mantle of just not just like starting businesses, but like good creative businesses that really add value to the city,
Yeah. That's what we need more of. Like,
yeah.
I hope my story doesn't discourage anybody. That's my number one thing. And that's what I want to emphasize. It's like, I'm so glad I did Soliloquy with my friends.
Yeah.
So I encourage people, young people, whatever your idea is, just like get out there and do it. Like just get started. Yeah, your community needs you. So
That's right.
Love it.
We need you.
No kidding.
It's awesome. All right, man. Well,
Awesome.
appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, brother.
awesome. Thanks, guys.